My name is Glenn Hahn. I'm an EM3 electrician. Well, it was about, I remember, it was about a week before I got out of school. I got my orders. Then I knew I was going on the Hector, and found out then that when I got on in October that shortly after we'd be going to Vietnam. So I knew pretty much before I got on board that we were going over there. When I got to California, the ship was in the yard. It was in a yard down in San Pedro, I believe. And so it was kind of by itself. I wasn't really, get to the whole fleet in Long Beach. And then a couple of weeks after I was on, they moved it up. But again, you're overwhelmed with, of course I was thankful for not being on on like a destroyer or anything like that. So I got a pretty good idea that this was a pretty good sized ship, that it would ride pretty good, so. Of course, everybody, when they get on board, we had to do 1 month of head cleaning, cleaning the bathrooms, if you would. And then after that, we did 3 months mess cooking. So pretty much that was basically when I first got on, that's how I spent my first couple of months on there. Well, I was pretty lucky there. I was only actually mess cooking, I think, about a week. And first class, who was in charge of the mess decks, pulled me aside and said, come work with me, So I had wound up in a pretty good deal with that, where all the rest of the guys that were mess kicking were up like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I got in, I could sleep in till about 9 o'clock, and what I did then was he'd give me the pull list, the pick list for next day's meals, and then I'd go and get everything ready for the cooks for the next day. And that was pretty slick. That was a good job. In fact, if I had my choices, I'd have stayed with him. He was a good man. Don't recall his name anymore. I'm sorry for that. But when we took on stores, fresh stores, I was responsible for, making sure they got in the right coolers, and whatever we had ordered, we made sure that we got what we had ordered. So that was a pretty good job. And then after that, I was assigned to the battery locker. Nasty job, I'm going to tell you right now. That was, they took out wet cells, brought them to the shop. We made sure that the acid levels were good and had to put them on a charger. Well, it was the first time, about 2 weeks, I got my work clothes, my dungarees back, and they were all filled with holes, from getting the acid all over the place. So I pretty much decided that this was not going to be my life's calling in the battery locker. So as soon as I could, I transferred out of there and got into the outside electrical game, which is pretty much where I was pretty much when I was assigned to the ship. And a couple months later, then I wound up in the motion picture projection repair shop. So we were responsible for showing the crew's movie, the warrant officers and the officers' movie, and repairing the 60mm Bell and Howells. It was pretty much what we did then in that shop, and that's pretty much where I was then.